How's it going, everyone? College Lefty, and in this video I rank the best players at each position in MLB The Show 25, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And I've been trying to update these videos every couple of weeks or so, and I'm doing them a little bit differently each time. So we're getting into some catchers to start it off. At number 6, we have Yasmani Grandal. We are going to have, maybe the top 5 or the top 7 players at each position. I think that Yasmani Grandal is a really good power hitting, switch hitting catcher. We got Kyle Schwarber at number 5. I'm not going to have as many repeats on the list, but there are going to be a couple guys that repeat a few times. We got Jorge Posada at number 4. I think he's a little bit better of a catcher than Schwarber, but also Schwarber might be a better hitter. We got Joe Mauer at number 3. More of a contact guy, better guy for higher difficulties like Legend. And then we got Adley Rutschman at number 2. A lot of people are using this card as their best catcher. The number 1 catcher could definitely be. I think I like Carlos Santana just a little bit more. I would sacrifice just a little bit of power versus right to add some contact versus left and power versus left, as well as the clutch. I think that's important. Now we're getting into some first baseman. I think first baseman is actually kind of like the weakest position. Well, we have Gil Hodges at number 1, but then I guess the drop-off from the number 1 spot to the number 2 and 3 and 4 is just a little bit bigger, I guess you could say. But Casey Schmidt at number 6. We got Ryan O'Hearn at number 5. I haven't really used those 2 cards necessarily, but I would definitely use them at first. Casey Schmidt has a pretty decent swing, similar to Hunter Goodman. But then we also got Anthony Santander at number 4. I think this card, even though his attributes are a little bit lower, he plays well above his attributes. I know a lot of top players are still using that Anthony Santander, but that's also because they're using a Blue Jays boost. We got Heimer Candelario at number 3. I think this guy is a really good first baseman. I think third base has a little bit more depth, so I would use him at first, but I have Gil Hodges at number 2. We got Vladimir Guerrero and Gil Hodges at number 1. I think that both of these cards are very good. Gil Hodges, to me, has one of the better swings in the entire game. If you don't like his swing, you might do better with Vlad Jr. I think he's a really solid option. We got Luis Rengifo at number 7 for second baseman. I think that this card has some good value because he's a switch hitter. I know a lot of people are using Brian Roberts. I would say he has a little bit more power. Rengifo has a little bit more contact versus lefties. Lefties, in terms of starting pitchers, I think are pretty effective, so you might value that a little bit more. Jackson Holliday is a left-handed hitting second baseman. He's got some good speed, some decent defense. I think second base was one of the weaker positions, but we also got a couple upgrades recently with like Altuve there. Junior Caminero is a really good player at second base. I would use him there just because, well, his defense isn't the best, but he will bring some added power, one of the higher power hitting second basemen that we have in the game. We got Alfonso Soriano at number 2, and this might be a little bit surprising. I know his attributes. He's a 5-tool player. He's a great card. His swing just is not very good, at least in my opinion. Ketel Marte, if he's playing inside or up on inside edge against righties, he's by far the best second baseman. But the one thing I wanted to mention is you could use really any middle infielder at second base. I didn't put anybody out of position in this video. If you want to, though, you could take any of these shortstops and put them at second. They're going to play just fine. But I will talk a little bit about that later in the game, what I think people should do if they are going to do that, play somebody out of position. For example, I saw somebody using Derek Jeter out of position at second base, and he made a crucial error late in the game, and the person almost lost the game because of it. But anyway, I think my list for shortstops has pretty much stayed, or for the most part, remained the same. I think Willie Castro is the best all-around shortstop. But there's some other guys on there that I think are pretty good, like Ezequiel Tovar, that I don't think many people are using. We got Junior Caminero at number 7. We're getting into some third baseman now. Third base, I think, used to be one of the weaker positions, but we have gotten some upgrades recently. We just got this brand new free Rafael Devers. I think Jose Ramirez is still a really good live series option, especially if you're using the Guardians boost. But I think if you have one of these other guys, you might want to consider using them over Jose Ramirez, and maybe still using that Guardians boost. But we got Scott Rowland at number 3. Some people have been speculating that they changed his swing a little bit, made it a little bit faster. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the difference between the difficulties going from like GOAT to Legend and things like that. Definitely more of a usable card that Scott Rowland is on some of the lower difficulties. But then Vlad Jr. at number 2. Corey Seager, I think, is the best all-around third baseman. However, I have used him quite a bit at second base. Now when we get into some outfielders, I do have Chili Davis on the list here. We also got Cedric Mullins. You could throw in Byron Buxton right around this area. I think Pete Crow Armstrong just has some extra value with the maxed out defense. The most important positions on the field, in my opinion, are the shortstop, the second baseman, and then the most important is the center fielder. Those 2 or 3 positions, I think, will win or lose you games. That's where the majority of the action is going to be. And you might, disagree with a couple of these outfielders, but I think you can get away with some slower guys on the corner infield or corner outfield positions, but you really want to have your best defenders in center, short, and second base. I think Ted Williams is one of the best outfielders in the game. I think the best outfield right now is Bryce Harper in right, Ted Williams in left, and then Carlos Beltran in center. I don't really think you could argue that unless you want to use, maybe Willie Mays or someone like that, but I don't think they're better than Harper, Beltran, and Ted Williams. We're getting into some starting pitching. I mixed up these guys a little bit. I had these guys slightly different in the last video. A couple new guys, Mizorowski. I had Nate Pearson a little bit higher in the last one. I think this card's super effective on the higher difficulties. Al Leiter could be one of the top pitchers in the game, maybe even top 2 pitcher. I have a tougher time hitting Randy Johnson and John Donaldson. That's just me personally. I think Randy Johnson and John Donaldson are better overall pitchers. Roger Clemens, I think, is still the best. However, those 4 guys that I put at the top of that list are arguably, must-have cards in the rotation, especially if you are, a top player in this game. We're getting into some relievers. I did this one a little differently. I went with some lefties first. I wanted to rank some lefties. A lot of top players use that Brendan Little card. You might look at that player and be like, why is he on the list? But his cutter is kind of glitched. Like, he throws like a 97 mile per hour cutter. He doesn't have outlier on it, but it's almost like he does. And it seems like it just breaks way more than his individual pitch break. But anyway, we also got that Ian Seymour card. Pretty good finesse lefty, but now we're getting into some of the right-handed relievers, and I think that Randy Rodriguez is a little bit tougher to use. I like him because he has the high hits per 9. I think Felix Bautista is also very good. I like Blake Trinan. Dennis Santana, to me, I think is a must-have card on everybody's bullpen just because of how easy he is to locate. We got Eric Gagne at number 3. Devin Williams at number 2. This card, to me, I think could be one of the most effective relievers. Could even be better than this Darren O'Day just because of the cutter, slider, screwball combination. And now I think we have 1 DH on the list, Jock Peterson as a DH. This Rap Dixon card is a very, very good utility player, and I think Martin Dihigo is also a very good utility player. If you are using a out-of-position player at second base or an out-of-position center fielder at one of the corner outfield positions, I think it's important for you to have one of those utility guys on your bench. I think it's good to have just as added value. But you could plug in one of those guys in, and that will help the game coding kind of prevent you from getting a weird animation or, I guess, booting a ball late in the game. It just seems like it's harder to close a game out if you have a guy out of position. And I know a lot of other people would agree with that. Some people would disagree. So if you disagree, then just keep the guys that you have in there. If you agree, I think it's important to have some utility players. I use Elly De La Cruz as a utility guy. You could also use him in the outfield as a secret. He plays okay out there. He's still out of position, so it goes against what I was just saying, but he does play fine out there. Until next time, I'm College Lefty, and peace out.